Weibo gonna get onto blue side and for first pick, so we'll get traditional drafting setup going into game number 4. A lot of those power picks like the Orianna still taken away, and the Karma, an early Twisted Fate pickup here for Zika. For Xiaohu, maybe a flex pick available.
Indeed, I really like the fact that they can grab this one nice and early, like I said, can potentially move around. For LGD, as we've been saying, right, there's a lot of champions that they just haven't had to play throughout a very condensed split overall. The Caitlyn would be something that they were able to pick up for themselves previously. They like to pair it up pretty aggressively down in the bottom side of the map if they want to grab this one. And it also just gives you a potentially winning lane to really try to play around, something that LGD have really liked. Winning bot lane, early aggression has been the name of the game for them in those wins. The Lee Sin would certainly fit that trend. It's very risky to go for that this early though.
I would be very excited to see it locked in, and it is Jiejie historically awesome on this champion, but Heng is going to try to pick it up and try to rip his style a little bit here in this game 4 to send his team into the playoffs.
Absolutely he is. I really do like that in this situation. I think that it's going to put you in a pretty good spot, and that's the Rek'Sai coming on through. Okay. Rek'Sai.
Wow, and that was a very quick 2-3. I thought maybe it was like a bug or something. No, we just got the full top side unveiled for Weibo.
Full-blown gonna be going for this one, so you are expecting that to be the Jax in the top lane, and for that to actually be a jungle Rek'Sai. Jungle Rek'Sai's not been particularly popular for a while. We've only really seen it in the top side.
I will say, there's still the potential for some flexibility here. If you want to send the Jax into the jungle, preferable matchup is available for the Rek'Sai top, and I think that could be a factor here with this Poppy getting locked in, most likely for Heng, but there is still some weird things, or sorry, most likely for Burdol, I should say. Still some weird things that could happen, though, clearly, on the flex pick side as we head into the second phase of bans.
Oh yeah, to be honest, I don't even really mind this Poppy going down into the bottom lane alongside this Caitlyn. It doesn't give you quite as much early aggression as the Caitlyn does really want, but it can snap a lot of the potential engage options the Weibo may be looking at off, and it also is just another good, nice tanky thing that can pair up alongside well with this Lee Sin. So we do jump into this second round of bans coming on through. The Jhin going to be taken off of the board. I don't mind that one. For this Weibo composition, you've got a lot that's looking to jump very far forwards. It really depends on if Weibo want to full commit to this aggressive composition, or if they think they need themselves something that can sit a little bit further back, survive from a little bit further away. Overall, the Jhin would fit into that second category, of course.
It's like not going to be available for Elk. It was something that they've been playing alongside the Hank a lot so far in their short time together as a part of the Weibo Gaming bot lane duo. Still some more bans to go to, as the bot lane maybe has all been selected here for LGD, depending on where that Poppy goes. The Kog'Maw ban is interesting. Don't believe that's something we've seen from Elk yet this season, so maybe LGD worried about a hyper carry down there in the bottom lane.
Could potentially be, and the hypercarriers are often the pickups as we get later on into these rounds of drafts. Still do have things like the Aphelios up and available, the Jinx too, if you potentially want to go towards something like that. For right now, you're really just looking to round this out with something strong on into the mid lane, as we've been talking about, right? The Victors and the Azirs have both been very strong, but so far absent during the early rounds of this series. Could well be picking up one of those right now.
Yeah, I think a mid lane selection makes sense here. Leave Weibo to the last pick to have them decide where exactly this Rek'Sai and Jax are going. Looks like they're going to keep the flexibility, though, because that is an Anivia, another champion that can flex into 3 different roles. And I have no idea what LGD are cooking. It is certainly something, though.
Indeed it is, and as you can see, we're talking a little bit in the break about how you could potentially look to go on towards one of these AP carries down on the bottom side of the map. That Ziggs could well end up being our ADC in this game, something that the Caitlyn does struggle with a little bit. If you can constantly be landing those bouncing bombs, that can be really aggressive right now. We'll see what the final lock-in will be from Weibo. Again, the flexibility so incredibly high right now. None of these champions actually locked into a specific lane.
No way, right? Oh my god! A Camille? In this economy?
Is this
Weibo Gaming is cooking, and we haven't even gotten to Game 5 of Fearless yet. Will this be the Hank, or will we see even crazier stuff happening?
I've seen a Camille support recently. It wasn't in the LPL, so I'm always on high alert when we see these things picked up, and right now, genuinely, this entire composition out of Weibo could kind of go anywhere. Oh no. Nope, I agree with you. I agree with you, Grapes, and that shaking of your head in that situation. It is going to be the Elise locked in alongside this Caitlyn, so you are looking to get uber aggressive down in the bottom side of the map. That should then put the Poppy into the top lane, and we will get some confirmation over on the Weibo side of where they are putting everything. It looks like it is going to be the Camille bot lane.
I wouldn't oppose a swap between Zika and Jiejie. Jax into Poppy seems very difficult for the most part, but looks like they're going to roll with this here. A Kate Elise spot lane, and Yanni is not here to cast it. He has already went to bed after casting that crazy 5-game series. This is something that he always pushes for because you can just skill check your opposition in the 2v2. And you think of somebody like Camille, really forced to dive forward onto players in the bottom lane with a hookshot. YCX is going to have an easy target with the cocoons if those abilities do not land for the Heng.
And I like that you say dive, because I think diving is going to be the name of the game in this situation. Obviously, anytime you've got the Elise, that's one of the big powers of it, is to be able to just put as much dive pressure down onto the bot lane as possible. And with Elise in, that's a great dive pairing. This bot lane should be under massive threat. But like you said, the rest of the lanes are also going to be interesting. And it is going to be that Jax into Poppy matchup up in the top lane. That could be somewhere to potentially draw these junglers. I think these junglers have got a feast whichever lane they potentially want to look at.
Yeah, things are very volatile here, which is certainly going to be a good story for the junglers. The matchup has so far favored Heng from Nirvana. Jiejie, the former world champion, the veteran, gonna have to step up for Weibo if they want to force silver scrapes.
And in we jump into a crazy draft. Rek'Sai in the jungle right here. We only saw Rek'Sai top lane throughout the split proper, so that is very interesting to see this one locked into the jungle right here. The Twisted Fate mid lane into the Anivia, that's a little bit more standard at least, we could talk about that one, is going to be the Spellbook coming on through from Xiaohu, so he's looking to get as much impact across as many different lanes as possible, and you can also just play so much more aggressive with those combat summoners in lane as well, potentially looking to just egg that Anivia as quickly as possible.
I will say, at this point, both teams don't have the greatest late game team fighting, right? Like the full DPS, not
late game
completely there.
What do you mean
it's all
late
about
game?
The early game, right? The first 5 minutes are going to decide what happens here on this game.
Oh yeah. These teams do not really care about the late games, right? There's a couple champions that do better as we get later on into the game, right? Your Poppy will get tanky, your Jax can start ripping people's heads off. You know, there's places, as more and more items come through onto Elk, he's going to feel stronger and stronger, but for the most part, it's just all about this early game, and as much aggression as you can put down as possible. See, Heng immediately going to jump on forwards, takes a decent chunk of trading back, and I find it very interesting in this situation that Jiejie has started down on the bottom side of the map, because we're really expecting these bot sides, once again, these bot lanes, to be the main focus for both of these junglers, the real explosive place to be.
Yeah, unless Jiejie goes straight to the bottom lane after this, which maybe he's looking towards. He's pathing down there right now. Yeah, it's actually going to be a level 3 here for Jiejie after clearing the bottom side river. Maybe looking for an invade instead as he uses the burrow to get over the wall.
He's going to be spotted whilst doing this, though. Unless he hugs the wall. No, he is going to be spotted, but still, does that help?
Oh, the flash hookshot onto Shaoye. Going to be able to land the satchel charge in the backwards direction. The Heng taken very low. The ignite is ticking. YCX should be able to take him down, but Jiejie flashes forward with a chomp to pick up first the blood. A 1-for-0, but here comes Heng. Uses the sonic wave, and the resonating strike will find its mark on the Ziggs. Jiejie not able to take down YCX yet until he finally uses that final Q in the burrowed form to make it a 2-for-2 overall. Both junglers on the run. An explosive start to game number 4.
But in the end, it's going to be Weibo that come out on top of this one, as Burdol has to be very careful, is just going to be able to get away with his TP available. He's able to TP back, comes back into the lane, and picks up this entire minion wave. Isn't going to lose out like Shaoye did in this situation. The kills end up going over onto the junglers, and Jiejie going to be very happy to have these early 2 kills. Same thing for Heng, though. Both junglers picking up the kills is going to accelerate the pace of this game.
That's exactly what we were expecting. This first 5 minutes to bring the fireworks, and they absolutely did. We were questioning if Jiejie was going to path topside, but that is not the plan for him. But going for an immediate gank, gets 2 kills for himself in this potentially elimination match. Now YCX could be in some trouble. The satchel sends YCX back. With Heng in the area, not going to be too much else.
No, and everybody's just going to head back and keep on with their clearing. Jiejie has to still clear his top side camps after all of the shenanigans down in the bottom side of the map, so he has put himself a little bit far behind when it comes to the clear. Obviously not going to mind too much with those 2 kills he was able to pick up. And the Rek'Sai is going to be really interesting in this game. We see the Rek'Sai top lane a lot as a response to these matchups where you can just sustain your way through. The healing that you get from just jumping up, hitting somebody, getting that rage up, going back underneath the ground. Really, really strong, especially into things like the Ambessa. That's what we saw as a big counter at the beginning of last year. But it continues to be something that floats around on the edges of play. In the jungle, far more about getting as aggressive as possible early on. You still can do plenty of healing for yourself later, but really, if you begin to fall behind, you provide a little bit of a knock-up, but not that much. Of course, the exact same thing can be said about Heng right here on the Lee Sin.
And you saw in the lower third that popped up just a little bit ago, the first Rek'Sai jungle in the LPL since 2024 summer, when Tian plays on top esports the first time. So it's been a while since this pickup has been in the jungle position. Heng goes forward with the hook shot. Nice job by YCX to repel away, prevent that knockup, and make Camille take a couple turret shots.
Yeah, that was really well timed right there. Good to see. And we will continue to focus mostly on this bottom side of the map as the most explosive place to be. Obviously, we've got a Drake spawning pretty soon as well. And it's going to be Hexcheck, a great individual Drake to be able to pick up. And Jiejie just off the back of a base, same thing with Heng. Both of these junglers, once again, going to be pathing down towards the bottom side of the map, despite the fact they don't really have too many things to pick up there. They really are looking to compete over this Drake, potentially look for some more kills as well.
We do have the Crab coming up in less than a minute. The second respawns potentially in the near future. Jiejie and the Heng on a bit of a roam squad together in the bottom side of the map. The top laners will do good as well, both of them hitting level 6. Zika issues the ulti first, as full control of the bottom lane also belongs to Weibo.
Indeed it does, and that means they're going to be able to push their way up towards this Drake as well. Unlikely that LGD are just going to be able to start this one up for free. Just clearing out a little bit of vision for the moment, but with everybody heading back towards the lanes, they are going to drag this one out of the pit. No, instead, just going to take themselves this Scuttle Grab. This may well tick Heng over to level 6. Nope, not quite for him at this point. So it's not going to be with ultis that they're competing for this Drake, but all of the members of Weibo just headed up towards the top side of the map, looking to steal away a couple camps.
So LGD going to get this first dragon of the game. They got first Drake in both of their wins, or actually just their second win in game number 2. And they're looking to do, again, something that they have not done since 2024. Win a play-in series. They've been in 3 of them in the last few years. A 4-8 overall record in terms of game score. Now up to, what is it now, 6-9. So they're continue to push the pace here. They got eliminated at this stage in 2 of the 3 splits in 2025. Going to look to try to avoid that same fate today.
Indeed they are, and so far looking okay for them. You know, a couple of wins under the back pocket, but Weibo having themselves a decent early game. I like the fact that LGD were able to grab themselves the Drake in the bot lane. This is why you pick yourself such an aggressive bot side such as the Caitlyn and the Elise. You want that bot lane pressure, you want to be picking up as many Drakes as possible, and with a bot lane like this, you can't afford to fall behind. We may talk about junglers who are kind of useless if they fall behind. Well, the peak of that is definitely the Elise, and an Elise support that's fallen behind. I mean, do you provide anything to your team at all? You have one Cocoon. Is there anything else that you're really good at?
I was going to say, you got one ability. That's probably it. Yeah, so the laning power hasn't necessarily been there for Xiaoye and YCX just yet. Again, this is a bot lane duo that has been playing together for a number of years. Despite LGD's struggles, they have remained consistent down there, so they have a lot of synergy as opposed to Elk and the Heng playing in only their 3rd competitive series as a 2v2 unit. Maybe that will end up impactful when the bot lane pairings get a little wacky like you see here on your screen. The Heng down to 60% HP, not going to be taking it any further down. So the bot lane staying even, which is a good thing if you're Weibo.
Oh, Zika, okay.
Burns the ultimate here, and Burdol's gonna kind of just keep the wave in this position. Always a good thing for the Poppy. Making sure that Zika has a long lane to play out of. He's gonna have to base, teleport back, and it results in Heng being able to secure these grubs once again. LGD really able to dominate the top side of the map, something that we haven't necessarily expected going into this series.
No, indeed, and Weibo, they are sending a couple of members over to try to compete. The first two are probably going to go down to LGD, but can you get anything back up and available? Gold card is procced.
Yeah, but Xiaohu gonna get burned right into the wall! Burdol with the heroic charge, able to secure the kill in the skirmish, and the keeper's verdict sends away the Rek'Sai. An incredible job by LGD's top laner to secure the grub fight for his team.
Really, really nice right there from Burdol to just land that last shot. And the kill as well going to go over to him. Now just keeping this pressure up in the mid lane, although the Heng looking to go in.
Yeah, continuing to push the pace here. The satchel charge ends up sending Tangyuan away, and he has 200 HP and still the egg in his passive available. Jiejie once more on the hunt. Will be able to find the target. Bouncing bomb doesn't connect. Tangyuan flashes away. And that's all that Weibo will get.
Still, that's pretty big, not having the flash available on such a squishy champion, and that is the joy of having the Camille support. You can just roam around the map so effectively, you can gank people from really weird angles. That's another thing that's brilliant about the Rek'Sai, is the weird angles that people are not used to playing around for the ganks. Paired up alongside the Camille, these two can make some ganks happen in really fun and interesting ways. We'll see if we end up getting Weibo joining up between their support and their jungler. Until then, though, things are pretty even overall with just that Drake and a couple of grubs separating out LGD. They're going to be happy with the way that this early game has gone. Across the top side of the map, they still really need to get more going for Shaoye.
Not just yet, though. It's remaining even with Elk, who now has a Luden's Echo already in his inventory. And Elk sees the opposing composition and might get a little nervous. You might remember at Worlds last year on BLG, facing off against G2 Esports, who had this Poppy Anivia combo. Just seeing that stun into the wall refreshed my memory on that. But that is how G2 was able to prevail over BLG just a year ago. And so Elk certainly remembers that at this point.
Oh yeah. And the flash wallbang is something that's usually a little bit harder to land. It takes some mispositioning from your opponents. Well, in this situation, when you can create the terrain from Tangyuan, it opens up this many different angles. Tangyuan as well also going to be able to grab himself his Rod of Ages, so he'll be stacking that one up. And so far is in a decent position overall, hasn't had to get too aggressive. CS gaps, not really massive anywhere. Zika with a little bit of one going on so far, but Burdol's not going to mind that one too much. He's working towards some very tanky items for himself, looking to be that frontliner that this LGD composition really needs.
Yeah, Burdol's going to be pretty big. I mean, he's down in CS. That's kind of how the early parts of this matchup goes, but you play this champ in this way for what it can do in the mid-game portion. You can see an easy interact there, using the heroic charge to get away from the counter-strike. Foolproof every time just because of the cooldown of those two abilities. And then you always have the steadfast presence. If a big jump comes through, Burdol going to continue to be massive like we saw in that last fight around the grubs.
And yeah, the keeper's verdict is the big thing right here as well. Being able to split up this composition out of Weibo will be massive, because in the straight up front to back team fights, you're in a pretty good spot as LGD overall, but if you can split it up, things are going to be a heck of a lot easier, especially we saw in the previous game.
Oh, the Hank jumps over the wall, does not find a stun with a hook shot, but will be able to issue the ulti on the Heng, who's taken low. There's the Void Rush from Jiejie flashing forward, but he's very in the weeds, still able to take down his opposing jungler, and able to escape with his life with the dragon up.
There we go, Strybreaker in inventory and more than enough damage available to Jiejie. This is exactly what you want to see from a Rek'Sai player, and he's going to be able to head straight onto this Drake and pick it up for his team. LGD just stepping a little bit too far forwards, not recognizing the fact that you've got so much ability to jump over the walls as Weibo that your backline is never going to be safe. Heng just did not have the survivability available to him at that point in the game. Things just beginning to slip away from LGD just a little bit. With the composition so hyper-focused on getting its bot and jungle going early on, these couple of kills, these couple of skirmishes that have gone wrong for LGD could have wide-ranging impacts on the rest of this game.
Take a look at Jiejie now on the bottom of your screen. Really starting to come alive in this series after Heng had such a good start to this best of 5. The Rek'Sai, bit of a pocket pick, nothing that we really expected coming in. If anything, we were thinking the Lee Sin could go into Weibo's hands, but instead it's Heng who plays it, and Jiejie, who has a lot of experience on this pick, that knows the correct answer into it.
Absolutely, he does. Yeah, levels coming through as well. And now, with about a minute and a bit until we get the next big objective available on the top side of the map. We'll see how much we're going to get people moving around these lanes, as Tangyuan has had to flee from this bot lane where he just... Sorry, Shaoye has had to flee from this bot lane where he just wasn't really getting anything going. Instead, going to be laning into Xiaohu, who still has to sit so far back though, and this is not what you wanted out of your Caitlyn early.
Xiaohu forced to stay mid for now. His mid lane quest not yet completed. We haven't seen much of a use of that Destiny Gate just yet. Maybe, as I say that, top bottom lane could be where that ends up happening. Jiejie gets his burrow cancelled as the wall will shut him down. Nicely done by Tangyuan to get back on the board for LGD.
Tangyuan playing exactly how you would have wanted him to right here. Shaoye also stepping up very aggressively into Xiaohu, who without that gold card available isn't particularly worried, and he knows all of the people down on the bottom side of the map have taken focus away from him. Right now LGD were pushing down through the bottom side of the map, didn't decide to go for any sort of dive. Without a Drake available instead, rotation coming up towards the mid lane.
Oh, Xiaohu would have died if that Q hit from Heng. Instead, just going to be a little bit of plating given over to Shaoye. Not much else. Again, Xiaohu on this Twisted Fate has not really contributed too much in terms of his ultimate ability to roam around the map.
No, indeed. It has just kind of been sat in this mid lane, not really getting involved elsewhere. And we'll see if that's going to change. You've got yourself a hyper-mobile composition that wants to be all over the map all of the time, and so far, it hasn't really been happening. Right now, Jiejie going to be looking for a gank onto Burdol and the Heng as well over the wall. Doesn't look like they're quite going to be able to get there in time, though.
Seems like they were worried that LGD had reinforcements coming. They were partially right, but they were not nearly as close as they might have anticipated. Seeker does find Burdol, so it cancels his back with the Rift Herald now spawning in 5 seconds. Burdol has his teleport, would have likely used it to get back to the fight, but instead we'll have to stick here and watch this cannon wave to make sure it gets cleared out.
Is just about going to be able to do that and heads back to base. Like you said, teleport available to him, likely to try jump back into the lane. We've got Tangyuan and Xiaohu down on the bottom side of the map. TP's available, and obviously as well with that ulti for Xiaohu. And the amount of vision in the area too. Weibo have this area lit up like a Christmas tree. They're not going to be surprised by any flanks. LGD now stepping up to try to get themselves a little bit more vision, clear out some of their opponents.
Teleport coming in early from Tangyuan. They think that this is going to be a big fight around the Herald. Shelly has been reset, but LGD immediately started back up. Destiny Gate not issued just yet, and the teleport is in the waits for Zika. Finally going to be issued, but it might be a little bit too late. The objective surely just going to go down. It is getting burned by the Glacial Storm, and Heng secures it with a smite. Weibo might try to look for a fight afterwards, but they don't seem like in a great position. They are fumbling. They are waiting, and now they get cocooned. Elk has to flash away. YCX uses the repel to survive. Another wallbang comes forward, and the Hank will go down. LGD with the first blood in this team fight, and they also have the Herald in their hands.
Oh, that was really clean right there out of Tangyuan. He has been amazing right now with the walls. It looks like they're not stopping yet.
Go forward under Tangyuan, the wall once again blocking his escape. The Anivia still has the egg, I'm pretty sure, so even if they completed that dive, would have had a whole lot more work to do. Mid lane tier 1 still going to be the focus here for Weibo, even though they lost their support. The wave clear is just too good on LGD's side.
That's going to be a kill picked up, and the Rift Herald. We'll see where the Rift Herald is going to put down. Heng has picked that one up for himself. The mid lane tower, pretty low at this point, could potentially look to just sort of break that one down fully. But with all the time we spent in the top side, 30 seconds now until the Drake is going to spawn. And in that previous team fight, Hank using his flash. He's now going to be pretty vulnerable, not going to be able to get into the backline anywhere near as easily, whereas on the other side of things, everything is available for LGD. They're in a good spot to fight here.
Gets hit by the cocoon, immediately followed up by the stun from Tangyuan. Zika's in a lot of trouble. Nicely done by Jiejie to get in range for the leap strike. Help the Jax not go down. Still a small gold lead here for Weibo, but it is evaporating quick. LGD just feel like they have a ton of control in this game right now.
Because Tangyuan is playing so well. Every single time he steps up, the wall is perfect. It's allowing Burdol to hit his spells. It's allowing far easier cocoons to come through from YCX as well. And you saw with that play down in the bottom lane how miserable it can be once you get caught by that first piece of CC. The chain is incredibly strong out of LGD. They're going to grab themselves the Drake. They're also going to grab this bot lane tower, opening things up for any remaining Drakes coming on through, making these potential flanks as well that you might want to be looking for from Burdol or from Heng that much easier to find.
Papa Herald in mid. Breaks this space open right as they take their second dragon. Elf do a lot of work to clear this wave out. YCX proto belts forward, but does not find the cocoon stun. Super Mega Death Bomb finds the middle here. Doesn't find too much else other than that. LGD creeping back into the swing of things, and Weibo starting to lose ground. Their momentum is fading.
With the composition that LGD needed to get things going for early, that's really going to spike at that 2-item mark. Once you get 2 items onto your Lee Sin, onto your Caitlyn, that's where you're going to have a real big bit of power coming on through. Things looking really good for LGD. For Weibo, they've got some pretty decent late game scaling as well, and a second item completed onto Xiaohu just now means that they have some decent damage to try to play around. Xiaohu's been able to play very well in this game so far, 7 stacks as well on his Rod of Ages, so getting close with that one too. But it just isn't working out at the moment. Every time they try to step forwards, a wall ends up appearing behind them. Right now, though, they've got the majority of their flashes available. Just the bot side don't have the flashes. You've really got to keep track of the flashes through this game, because Tangyuan, if you don't have your flash available, will make you pay.
Combos, the composition, just so well thought out by LGD. They have so much ability to pick people off, and once the picks happen, the follow-up damage and the crowd control and everything is just so good. Speaking of picks, it looks like YCX is going to try to be picked off here by the Heng. The Hextech Ultimatum ends up locking him down, and the Spider Queen is dead for the next 20.
And this is the problem, right, with the Elise. So squishy, gets caught out and just evaporates straight off of the Rift. Now, this timing isn't necessarily the most impactful, right? 15 seconds until the Baron is up and available, but that's really not going to do anything too much. And YCX didn't end up using any summoner spells or anything of any real importance during that fight. So it's a nice pickup from Weibo, but it's not going to do that much to give them some momentum back into this game. What would be good is picking themselves up this Baron. Right now, they've got themselves a ton of control over the vision on the top side of the map. That's what had lured YCX in to try clear that out. And if they can potentially keep setting up these sorts of traps, that would be really nice to see.
Elk's starting to hurt a little bit. Has the Rocket Belt just for a little bit extra survivability, but 2 items is 2 items nonetheless. He's going to have to do a lot of damage. Remember, no traditional marksman on Weibo's side, so Elk is going to have to do a lot of magic damage with these bouncing bombs and the like. Cocoon finds the Hank. No follow-up, though. No dragon to fight over at this point, so it looks like we're staying chill for the time being.
Absolutely, and YCX, once again, going to try to step into the top side of the map and clear out a little bit of the vision that has come on through. Right now, just some standard 1-3-1 laning happening. Everybody trying to potentially find a little bit of a pick, and YCX goes in, lands the cocoon!
Gets stunned up, YCX answers right back in nearly the same place he got caught out a couple of minutes ago. Both supports ended up being aggressive, but those come at a cost, as the Baron is now available for LGD.
That's why you go the Rocket Belt right here for YCX, that little bit of extra range to be able to land that cocoon, really nice. And this is a slightly more critical timing for your support to go down, with the Baron more firmly available. Still, neither of these teams going to snap engage onto this one, you have to imagine. So it's just going to be a trade of supports and nothing much more.
It's been slow but fast all at the same time here in this game for Bloxxer. It feels like each team is very quickly moving their chess pieces around the map, but nothing really has been captured. Just a couple of pawns here and there, waiting for the endgame sequence, and we're quite a far ways from it. Weibo, I think they would really be advantaged by being able to secure a dragon or two here. This Infernal is going to be so deadly on LGD's side. Getting the soul for yourself is going to allow you to have a good avenue to scale into that late game when you have things like the Jax and the Ziggs at full power.
Absolutely, but at the moment they would be walking into a lot of darkness, which is always going to be a bit scary. Of course, having yourself that Destiny will open things up just a little bit. You've got Xiaohu and Burdol up in the top lane right now, duking it out a little bit, jockeying for position, but both with teleports available to get back down towards the plays.
Xiaohu really tickling Burdol at this point. He's just ignoring the damage that the Weibo mid laner issues. So he can just clear out this wave and be in a great position himself. Dragon available in 10. You see Zika pushing on the bottom side, but gets pushed out by Tangyuan. Teleport coming into the mid lane for Xiaohu. Weibo knows that this fight is important, so they're going to try to set up as soon as possible. The Hank gets hit up by that Sonic Wave. The Resonating Strike might have been baited by the hook shot, though. And the Lee Sin does get stunned by the gold card. The zone potential, though, from LGD is still massive as they start up the Drake.
Like a little bit of flank right here, Destiny, just to spot out where all of the members are. If you're going to go for this Weibo, you have to do it now.
Oh, the wall is buying so much space. Cocoon, it lands onto Xiaohu, but the Hank is trying to disrupt things with a Hex Tech ultimatum of his own. He immediately gets one shot, but so does YCX. Both supports out of the picture, and the Keeper's Verdict, looking for a target, ends up getting cancelled. That'll be back up momentarily, as Weibo now have control of the river.
I mean, yeah, this is now really hard to step up into right here for LGD. They're going to try anyway. Tangyuan can put the wall down as well. We've seen this combo work multiple times.
Sonic Wave connects. There's the wall bang. This time they found a crucial target. It is Xiaohu, and the Twisted Fate is down. But Burdol will be traded back. Another 1-for-1, but the health bars are much more on Weibo's side. Tangyuan forced to go back to base. Heng looking for a steal. The bouncing bomb pops the egg. And that will be all she wrote for this fight around the dragon. Heng trying to find a miracle steal, but Jiejie evens up the count at 2.
And this is the problem, right, with this composition out of LGD. Whenever you want to burst somebody down, people have to go leaping on forwards, and we see when Heng jumps forwards, he has most of his health taken away. Same thing for Burdol. Everybody rotating now up towards the top side of the map. Respawns coming on through as well. Gold being spent. And now we can see 2 items coming through for the majority of these carries. 3 items now completed for Xiaohu. He is doing work, but we'll have a look back at this one and just watch. Every single time that somebody steps a bit too far forwards and gets caught, you have to leap at them. And it leaves you
really
in a
nice
pretty
satchel charge from
vulnerable
Elk
position.
as well.
The satchel charge into Hextech Ultimatum to just disrupt and blow the members of LGD apart from each other was massive right there. If you're able to keep replicating that, that's huge.
Actually, some of the synergy here with this Ziggs Camille bottom lane. Unorthodox, but potentially effective. In this Game 4, Weibo need to keep their season alive by taking this game, forcing a Game 5, but they have a long ways to go as we hit the 25-minute mark of this one. Mid lane Tier 1 still not taken by the Weibros. They won't be able to do it anytime soon.
No, I mean, this game really feels like it stalled out a little bit for LGD. They were beginning to put some momentum together, but Weibo looking to reverse sweep right here, pulling it on back. 2,000 gold. As we said, right, that's mainly reflected at the moment in the top lane and in the mid lane. Mid lane going to be far more impactful. 3 items completed for Xiaohu. If he's able to catch somebody out on a side lane with that Destiny, that could potentially be a quick kill coming on through. If not, the poke is still massive for them during these team fights.
They're going to have to rely on Elk getting close to that Shadow Flame as well. So speaking of poke, he's going to really start to pack a punch. Gold cards from Xiaohu, now with the Rapid Fire Cannon, going to hurt as well. Mid lane is just a absolute battlefield. It's like we're playing trench warfare here between LGD and Weibo, neither side giving an inch at this point in the game.
Absolutely not, because giving an inch could well lose you this game. Xiaohu just constantly threatening, stepping up with the gold card, and the battle over the mid lane continues. You can see the top laners currently duking it out down in the bottom side of the map. 2 teleports available for everybody who has them right now. And in terms of summoner spells, up for a lot of the key members, but Tangyuan, no egg now, no flash, he is incredibly vulnerable.
Definitely is, at least for the next couple of minutes until that passive comes back up. Baron always a bit of a scare, but Weibo again don't have a primary marksman. They're going to rely on a Ziggs to do most of this damage to the major objective. That is not necessarily a winning formula. This might be, though. The Hank on a massive flank. Again, looking to try to find this eggless Anivia. Tangyuan does sniff things out and will back away, but this Camille is still off of vision and now might get collapsed on. This bush is a very dangerous spot for him to be. He uses the hook shot to escape and everybody is out with their lives.
Okay, this one really does feel like it's on the knife's edge right now, Grapes. One big fight for LGD could completely crack this open, but if things continue as they stand and Elk gets stronger and Xiaohu gets stronger, things are going to get harder and harder to play, right? YCX really falling off at this point. So is the Caitlyn. You really need to now get to that full build to really be doing your damage in the same way that this Ziggs can, and yep, that's a good show of how much damage the Ziggs can do. Mega Inferno Bomb definitely hurting at this point.
Will it be enough, though? It feels like neither of these teams are fully committed to a 5v5. That is not how these compositions like to function. LGD looking for picks. Weibo the same, potentially out of side lanes, but because of how powerful this mid lane tier 1 has been, Weibo specifically really have been unable to fully play to their strengths of having Xiaohu roam across the map just because there's not a lot of room to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. They just don't quite have that same level of flexibility. Pushing forwards into the jungle is that much riskier at the moment for Weibo, and again, it's another part of why things have been stalling out just a little bit for both of these teams. Next Drake going to be spawning in 45 seconds time. You've got the majority of flashes back up and available onto these key carries, key ultis as well on both teams. But the egg not available right here for Tangyuan, so he is going to be so much more vulnerable than he was in the previous team fight.
Full card lands onto Heng. Uses the safeguard to get back towards the safety of his tier 1 once again. Feels like Bloxxer. We've been going back and forth, not a ton happening, except for the fact that the dragon is now once again available. Weibo won the fight last time around. Will it happen again?
Yeah, they're going to be looking to show off a repeat performance, and you can see that just the amount of poke that can come through from this Weibo composition is miserable. Shadow Flame completed for Elk, and so he could just keep stepping up, keep hurting his opponents, and already the health bar is taking decent chunks before this teamfight even starts.
Feel the tension right now. You can cut it with a knife. Zika doesn't have a knife. He has a staff, and he's using it to try to burn down this Infernal Dragon. And LGD knows, but they're getting bursted down by the poke that exists from Elk. The Mega Inferno Bomb will once again pop the passive onto Tangyuan, and this will be the dragon secured by Weibo Gaming, and LGD could do nothing about it.
And I don't know what you can do at this point, as LGD stepping up is just almost impossible, as Elk deals so much damage. The poke coming on through. Lucky that Tangyuan was just about to able to have that egg back up and available after the previous team fight. Otherwise, he would have been going down to that Mega Inferno Bomb.
Oh, another soul point secured by Weibo. Feels like we've been in this situation before, though, Bloxxer. 2,000 gold lead soul point, even in our last series between NIP and EDG. That certainly did not mean squat when it came to who was in advantage and who was going to end up taking down the enemy Nexus.
It is very true, but I do worry about this LGD composition, right? You pick yourself this Caitlyn Elise to win the laning phase, and they weren't really able to do that, and they haven't been able to keep going on that path particularly either. Same thing with Heng, right? As much as you can deal a lot of damage right here on the Lee Sin, you're going to need some kind of big insect moment to come on through to be able to really get this champion to work at this point in the game. Tangyuan not having time to be able to just sit and deal his damage because of the poke coming through from Elk, the threat of the Hank as well, and Jiejie too looking towards the backline. It's really tricky right here for LGD. They're kind of reliant at this point on Weibo making a mistake, and that's something that Weibo has done plenty of, right? We're not saying that it could not happen, but it's not such a comfortable position to be in if you're LGD.
A lot of things are going to come down to these supports again. The Hank and YCX locked in their respective champions to try to dominate the bottom lane. Neither team was really able to do that, so now their roles have been reduced to finding picks, finding plays, and to make sure that they are not the recipient of that by their opposition. See YCX getting picked up multiple times, allowed for Weibo to get control of this game, pick up a couple of these crucial dragons. Now the Baron could be the focus. Still have Zika pushing in the bottom lane. Mid control still belongs to LGD, as that mid lane turret is still alive on their side.
It's actually crazy that this has just survived for so long. This is the problem with this composition. Yes, once you get to a tower, you're just going to melt through it with Elk and with Xiaohu, but they haven't been able to step up. They don't have the push, really, and there's plenty of wave clear available on LGD's side, specifically with this Anivia. But
I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day right now. I'm just seeing the same thing, same sequence over and over again in 2 minutes span.
I mean, it's like a 40-second cooldown at this point for Elk. It is up constantly at this point. Every single time you step up to a wave, you're just going to get hit by that Mega Inferno Bomb again and again and again. And the Rocket Belt has now come through for Elk as well, so you've got some extra range, some extra survivability, depending on what the situation calls for. He's in a very strong position to try carry his team, the MVP of their first win in this series, looking to do it again.
Saw that Anivia combo with Burdol be so effective in earlier portions, I should say, of this game. Can they come up clutch for a big pick? If they can find Elk, if they can find Xiaohu and one-shot them before the fight breaks out, that is how LGD will be able to secure this fight, secure this game, and get themselves into the postseason for the first time since 2024 summer.
Oh,
Inferno Bomb issued once again. We got the dragon up in 1:30, and we are still in the same position. This is ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, I mean, why would you change it right now as Weibo? You win these team fights, and so you just have to keep the pressure up. Make sure you don't get picked off in this situation. And
far up was he? That was a very dangerous position to be. Speaking of dangerous, there goes Heng. He was looking for the insect, but it's immediately cancelled by the satchel charge of Elk. A clutch play by the star player of Weibo. Might have just won them this fight, but it's not over just yet. The Guardian Angel has been popped by Heng, and he will go down, but the Hank falls on the other side. It's a 1-for-1 already, but still looking for more. Gold card lands onto Burdol, but he's a tanky Poppy, will be able to escape. Weibo have the jungler down on LGD's side for the next 40 seconds. They're looking for the mid lane tower and can potentially look for objectives afterwards. Xiaohu is to flash away from the wall. Satchel will take down the turret finally, and Burdol will be on the escape. The Glacial Storm is slowing down the retreat of Weibo, but they should be able to get out with their lives. Still 25 seconds on Heng respawning. Oh, Tangyuan! He flashes over the wall! Another nice knock up here from Jiejie will prevent Elk from getting taken down. Zika still looking to chase. The Keeper's Verdict comes out. It does not find a target! And Jiejie sends the Void Rush forward and eliminates the Poppy on the other side. YCX goes forward with the Rocket Belt, still looking for Zika. Xiaohu and Elk are now very low. They have teleports and will have to reset, but this dragon is now spawning in 20 seconds.
Yeah, and this is going to be Heng back up and available right now, so he is booking it straight out of base, wants to get involved for this play. You can see teleport into the mid lane coming on through from Xiaohu. Everybody going to be recoalescing around this bottom side of the map, and in the end of all of this play, nothing really changes other than the fact that LGD now going to be fighting down a key member in Burdol for this soul.
Two teleports have come in. Xiaohu picks up the Spellbook Smite. We'll have double advantage here around the Infernal Dragon. Heng in the area, but Burdol is not. He is still in the gray screen for the next 15 seconds, and that means that Weibo Gaming will claim the Infernal Soul an inch closer to a game number 5 and a reverse sweep over LGD.
I can hear the gentle beginning notes of a Silver Scrapes happening right now. This one feels like it may well be going the distance. That would mean that 3 of the 4 play-in series have gone all the way to 5 games. It's not closed out quite yet for Weibo, but they picked themselves up that soul point with a composition that's already doing as much burst damage as this one. Going to be massive to have that Infernal Drake now up and available as... Yep. I mean, look at this. This is disgusting, and you could just keep throwing this one out. Weibo, start the Baron.
Still very slow Baron to take. Would be incredibly risky to do in a 5v5 situation. Jiejie and Elk, I think, are starting it with no intention of finishing it, knowing that they still have Burdol on the other side of the map. They want to try to burn the Poppy TP. Nobody else is hitting it other than the Rek'Sai, and that will be the target here. Hank looks for a hook shot onto Shaoye, but does not want to overextend.
Oh, but instead, Burdol might be caught right here.
Comes out. Burdol might be the one who overextends. Uses the Keeper's Verdict, not actually ending up channeling it as the Hank takes out a huge chunk of the headshot from Shaoye. Destiny still available, giving vision, and Zika is on a flank, but they will not look for more.
There we go, Shaoye just about getting through the trough of power that this champion has. 4 items now completed. The Rabadon's in inventory, going to be doing some decent work as well. In the previous team fight, though, just wasn't able to deal the same damage. They have to,
gotta go Baron right now. Elk has to back. He's at half HP and does not have teleport. This is a great opportunity for LGD to start this objective up and force a fight on their own terms. Sonic Wave goes in for Heng, and the Baron has been initiated. Left Zika on the flank. Elk actually ended up canceling his back because he knows he has to be here for an eventual 5v5. The Baron's getting taken very low. Jiejie over the wall still has Smite. It's at 2,000 HP. Over the wall he goes. Who's going to get it? It's secured by the Lee Sin. But the first kill goes in favor of Weibo. And Zika is eviscerating the backline. Tangyuan gets scrambled, poached, and done over easy as it's a double kill in for the Rek'Sai. Burdol on the run as Weibo Gaming win the fight but lose the Baron Nashor.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to pick up the Baron, so things are going to continue to be a little bit slower. Still, with long death timers at this point in the game, they are going to lose a lot. Our LGD YCX, there's really nothing he can do to try to stop this push from happening, and it's still going to be 30 seconds until Heng and Shaoye are back up and available. This might actually be game.
They got another wave crashing in. It's YCX and Burdol. They do not have a lot of damage, and it's 20 seconds on Shaoye. Burdol trying to clear out the wave, but Elk is doing a nice job playing Bouncer at this point. Heroic charge into the inhibitor. YCX throws at the cocoon, but it goes wide. 5 members immediately onto the tank, and he's taken down. YCX forces the repel. It's 7 seconds on the Caitlyn, but it'll be 7 seconds too late. Weibo Gaming will bounce all the way back and force us Silver Scrapes in our final series of Nice Rivals.
These Nights Rivals just continue to deliver. Not a single boring series among them. The only 3-0 is Thundertalk eliminating IG in a crazy matchup. Everything else has gone the distance, and we get some Silver Scrapes right here between Weibo Gaming and LGD. A back and forth game, but LGD with a composition that had to get going early that they just never really got off of the ground with.
There's been a lot of Game 5s here this weekend in the LPL across the globe. We had FlyQuest take C9 all the way to 5 games in the LCS. Now we're getting 3 of our 4 series in Knights Rivals here in the LPL, going the full distance. Who would have thought? And what an incredible way to wrap up our week here of gameplay. Weibo Gaming, they had a really difficult to execute comp, I would say.
Yes.
Not a normal AD carry. They can't just force objectives very quickly. They can't burn those things down. They had to play the macro game outright, and it was slow, but it was steady. And they end up taking it with one decisive fight after LGD felt like they had no other choice but to commit to a Baron take.
They know what happens at about 20-25 minutes into the game, where the Caitlyn begins to fall off, hits that real trough of power that this champion has, and then you're in a situation where, hey, we can just keep stepping up, taking waves, and backing off again, because we win the team fight. So there's no point in forcing little skirmishes, little fights back and forth that we might lose when there isn't an objective up. That's why the pace of the game cooled down to that slow pace that we had. Correct decision right here out of Weibo. I'd like to give some real praise right here to Jiejie specifically. I think that he had himself a much better game than he had in the first 2. He looked better in the 3rd one, and now was all over the map right here on the Rek'Sai in this 4th game.
Yeah, some crucial interrupts of dashes going forward by LGD on numerous occasions. It looked like Burdol was going to stun somebody on the wall, immediate on Burrow to make sure that knockup connects and the stun does not. Jiejie has been really put into a blender by Heng throughout this entire series. Heng locks his signature pick in the Lee Sin against Jiejie, who has won so many games on that throughout his career. But Jiejie knew the answer, he knew what to do, and oh my goodness, Elk, you did a lot of damage when we hit the post-game screen.
Yeah, a lot of that is him just chucking the ulti out. 40 seconds later, chucking the ulti out again and again and again. That Mega Inferno Bomb was doing work, but it wasn't just for the poke before these fights happen. It was during every team fight. You'd get people locked up into the middle of a big brawl, bomb on top of them, and they were just done for. Massive performance right here from Elk. I mean, I wouldn't be too mad if Elk got himself another one of those MVPs from this game. I think there's a lot of different places you could potentially look towards. He did 50% of his team's damage. I mean, that is an insane stat right there.
I know normally, like, the boom damage pogs, not always great. I do think that Jiejie played a phenomenal game, so I would not be surprised to see him win Player of the Game. But in terms of interrupts, Elk had a couple of them too. The satchel charges ended up being very valuable. That's one of the more underrated parts of this Ziggs' kit, and Elk used it to his fullest here in this final game of, you know, what could be the start of a reverse sweep.
Yeah, we saw the combo right here between the satchel charge and that Hextech ultimatum. Multiple things that can just suddenly get the team fight blown wide open, split the members of LGD up. But it was that poke coming through beforehand that stopped LGD from finding any of those plays. They didn't want to be caught in that long, slow mid-game that we had where nothing was really happening until the objectives came up. They would have liked to have pushed the pace forwards, but you can't clear waves effectively. You can't push effectively because waves are being cleared by that bomb. Elk was just so annoying to try to play against, but I'd still like to give some praise over the other side. You see Tangyuan multiple times here finding some really big stuns, some really big walls that were the beginnings of great fights for LGD. They just weren't fully able to capitalize.
Man, it's a tough game to play for LGD. They really were doing their best to find these angles. They looked for Xiaohu here. I think if they find Elk, that might actually just end up being a kill a little bit earlier. But it came down to these setups around the mid lane, and at the end of the day, Weibo just played them better. Maybe it's the experience, maybe it's something else.
Oh, if this works.
The unburrow there for Jiejie, it was beautiful. Denies the insect. I mean, just cinema all the way through.
Oh yeah. If that insect works, totally different game. That may well have been the start of the Baron right there, and things could have been changed entirely. Instead, you just see how much damage Elk is doing. That's the main thing to watch throughout these team fights. He's just ripping through people, but it's not just him. I mean, the way that Zika was playing alongside Jiejie, both of them getting into the backline constantly. This is the confidence that we wanted to see from Weibo in games 1 and 2 that they just weren't showing us.
Man, I want to give a big shout out to everybody still watching here, specifically to our mod team, our social team, our producer Shivam, everybody working behind the scenes here, because it is a 10-game day on LPL English. We had a 5-game series between EDG and NIP. We have a 5-game series between Weibo and LGD. The Nirvana team in our first matchup ended up prevailing. Will that be the case here, or will Weibo be able to pull off at the reverse sweep? We've got a little bit of time before the player of the game, but just a big shout out to everybody watching here so far. It has been a pleasure here on LPL English. Player of the game goes to Elk. The damage numbers just end up being a little bit too much. And now the stage is set. The table is ready, and it's time for us to feast. Ladies, gentlemen, everybody else, it is time for Game 5 between Weibo and LGD. Let's